Hi everybody and welcome to the Royal Coating YouTube channel. I'm here today with Phil and my name is Alana, and we're going to be talking today about some epoxy floors. So you have a quote for us today, Phil?
Yes, I think today we're quotes from Dr. Seuss. And let's see here, I don't know if my glasses are a little crooked on, but I think it says, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." And I think that's a lot of times we can talk about that in business, right? It's like just because you lost a little bit of business doesn't mean you're not going to get it back.
Exactly. I love that attitude. Great. So what is the statistic for today?
So today about epoxy, it's purely chemical, and a lot of people forget that. They think it's kind of just like a paint and you roll it on. So the strong, polished, resistant floor coating, that's what epoxy and polyaspartic coatings are. It's not a thin coat of paint. It's you mix two parts together, and that makes a chemical bond to the floor, right? So epoxy is a man-made product. It's not something that you can just whip out from dirt or make some bricks. So always got to remember that it's not just a simple one-part process. It can be 2, 3, 4, 5 things mixed together to make it work.
Excellent. So it's a lot more complex than I think a lot of people realize.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I'll just roll it on." I'm like,
Not quite.
Not quite.
Excellent. The first question that I have for you today is a warranty important to you?
Yeah, so that comes in a lot of times when you do DIY, so do it yourself, which of course you can certainly do on an epoxy floor. And that's one of the bigger questions is, you might save some money on you doing it yourself. However, you are your own warranty. So you can call Bob back and say, "Hey, my floor is not working, can you come and fix it?"
Right.
It's you didn't do it right, so now you have to go fix it yourself again. So.
And that usually ends up being more complicated.
Yes, exactly,
and
more expensive. So sometimes if the job's not really straightforward, we don't recommend doing it yourself based on just a warranty.
Oh wow.
So just simple matter like that.
Perfect. And is price a factor?
Again, so could be double, right? If you do it yourself, sometimes you are sitting at about $2.50 a square foot, depending on how much you do.
Right.
Let's call it a going rate right now in Alberta is about $6 a square foot.
Okay.
So is your own time, that's not including your own time. So how much is your time worth, right? So most people do it yourself will take 2-3 days to do the job, where in a professional company could potentially do it in a day.
Right.
So you're losing time out of your garage, you have to keep your things outside. There's lots of things to consider, including the price being a big one, of course.
Excellent. I don't think a lot of people factor into their own labor costs.
No, I certainly don't. I know when I go see a Pinterest project, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I can do that." It takes me 2 days and $100 in supplies, when I can buy it online. It takes me 5 minutes and it costs me $50.
Right.
So it's always one of those things, right? You don't think about that usually.
And is scheduling an issue?
Again, it really works where, let's say I think in the forecast it was snow on Friday. A company could say, "Come in tomorrow, do the whole job in one day." No problem, right? But if you do it yourself, you're definitely not going to get it done in a day.
Right.
So it's going to take 2-3 days for you to do it, which in turn, have your things outside, maybe not covered up, maybe not anything like that. Could it get wrecked? It might.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, something to consider for sure is scheduling with the weather, because we all know how great the meteorologists are.
And the weather here, wait a day and it'll change, right?
Oh boy, it's fantastic.
So can you procure and use the proper equipment as a do-it-yourselfer?
Yeah, so Royal Coating Supply, the company I work for, so we rent out diamond machines, diamond grinders, concrete grinders, to prep your own floor.
Right.
They're just smaller ones, not something like a professional usually uses. The smaller machines, takes you a little bit longer, but safer to use that way.
Right.
Some smaller rental places also carry it, but it's usually better to go to the company that's more specialized in it, because we will run you through the process of, okay, so this is the kind of concrete, these are the kind of blades, you need a vacuum, do you have this kind of power, you need this generator. There's a lot to think about, right? So a regular garage, let's say you want to come to me and you say, hey Phil, I want to do my garage. You need a grinder, a vacuum, and if you don't have 220 power, which a lot of people don't,
right,
you need a generator as well.
Wow.
And then the blades, you need the vacuum, like plastic to put all the concrete in, which concrete dust, there we go.
Right.
But yeah, because you don't want to breathe that in.
It's nasty.
No, it's not so good for your lungs.
There's a lot to think about, so
absolutely.
The moral of the story is come to the experts.
That's usually how it works. Yeah.
Give
Give us a call, right? Somebody's always there to help you answer. And there's no obligations to it. I'm like, hey, I want to do this myself. Can I do it? Sure, let's talk about it, right?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And do you have the technical know-how?
So I think that's a big question for a lot of people. They think they know how. So we obviously can run you through a dry. I always recommend watching a video or two online. There's lots out there. Doesn't mean they're all right, but generally speaking, the idea is the same, right? So I've had lots of people in the store for 30 minutes and they were ready, and I had a gentleman just last week, he was here for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Just to kind of prep himself, because like I said, you don't just open the bucket and paint your floor.
Right.
So there's a chemical process to it, like a way to bond it properly. It gets a little complicated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And are you comfortable with other people in your home?
Right. So COVID, right? So would you rather do it yourself, or do you want to have a crew of 3 or 4 guys come into your house for the day? What's your comfort level right now? So a lot of companies nowadays obviously do the no touch kind of situation,
right,
where if we are in your house, we don't either want you there or separate room or wherever. So how comfortable are you with that, right? If you're not comfortable with that, DIY is probably the way to go.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And are there issues down the road with you fixing it?
Right, so that's kind of ties back in with the warranty situation, right? So if something fails, you're going to need to know how to fix it. Obviously, you can call us at Royal Coating Supply and we'll kind of walk you through it, but which could potentially incur more cost on yourself.
Right.
So you have to either buy more product or buy the right things to fix it with, or whatever happened. Where with a company, you can call them and be like, hey, this is messed up. I have a 20-year warranty.
Wow.
Can you come and fix it for me, right?
Nice.
So again, it all kind of ties in, right? Do you have to know how to do it? And that's kind of where we come in. So if there's any issues with it, give us a call, right? Even if your contractor isn't answering their phone call anymore,
oh no,
which happens, we'll help you through it, or we'll help you find somebody that might be able to help you out, or however it works. So.
Wonderful. Yeah. Sounds like easy.
Sounds easy when you know who to call.
Exactly. And is the product that you're using the right product?
Yes. So big question. There's a lot of epoxies out there. You can go into like Home Depot and buy a prepackaged kit, which I think runs you between $100 to $200. And then you come to me and I sell you a full garage package for $2,000.
Right.
Big difference in price, right? However, big difference in quality of product.
Right.
So if we're talking, the Home Depot kind of box, you get a little bit of flake. It's usually a 1-part epoxy, which is more like paint.
Right.
And then you put your flake on it, there's no top coat. Doesn't really last usually very long, about a year, maybe 2, then you go do it again. So where, you come into a Royal Coating Supply store, we have all the right products that you have to put down, the epoxies, the polyaspartics, and some contractors with our products give 20-year warranties. So if you do it yourself, if you're like, well, how long do you think it'll last? If you do it yourself, I usually say about 10 years.
Wow, that's great.
Right? So you might be spending a little bit more money. However, you're not redoing it a year or two down the road. And then again, and then again. And then you have this much coating on your floor. Now you have to remove it all, which costs you money. And it's just a never-ending circle. So using the right products right from the beginning is always recommended.
That makes a huge difference.
Big difference.
Wonderful. Did you get burned by a contractor and now you don't want to work with them?
Right, so that's another good one, right? Especially when it comes to do it yourself. I had contractor Bob come in. I asked him to do this for me, and it ended up terrible. Now you have a really bad experience with contractors. You're like, you know what, I'm just gonna do everything myself.
Right.
Doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you need the professional. So again, and this is not just for flooring, I think generally speaking, if you give like a good hardware store a call, or Royal Coating and Supply, or somebody that's in the field supplying other contractors, we can usually point you in the direction of like a reputable business.
Perfect.
Right? So going on Kijiji and hiring 1-800-BOB that charges you no money. Biggest red flag, right? If somebody charges you $1 and everybody else at $6, there's a reason they're in one.
Exactly.
So just do your homework, and if you don't know, call around, right?
Excellent. Great. And are you ready to do the job twice, potentially?
Right. So that you're coming back to the do you know how to fix it problem? If you didn't do your prep right, and we all know prep is so important in every project. If you didn't do your prep right, you didn't use the right products. Okay, so now we have $1,000 on your floor. You didn't do it right. Well, now you're going to bring it back up. You have to remove it all. Now you're spending another $2,000-$3,000 to go redo it. Right. So, and I think we did a video about contractors where we kind of talked about the same thing. You had a bad contractor come in because they charged you $1 a square foot. Now you have a good contractor come in and they'll charge you extra because they have to remove it. So it comes down to cost and time. How much is your time worth? How much is your cost worth? And that's how we should approach the DIY situation, right? So are you comfortable doing it? How much time are you willing to invest into it? And how much money are you willing to invest? So at the end of the day, you know, our phone lines are always open. So give us a call and then we'll figure it out. And we'll know right away, right? We'll run you through the process, and if it doesn't sound like something you'd like to attempt, we'll point you in the direction of a reputable contractor. And if it's something you want to do, perfect. We'll set up a time, you come in, we'll run you through everything, rent you the products, and away you go.
Wonderful. That sounds great. Whether you want to do it yourself or hire the professionals, contact the right people. Royal Coating and Supply would be more than happy to help you no matter what project you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Phil.
No problem. Have a good day.
Thank you.